I've spent a long time deciding on a title for this video. At first, it seemed to me that I should call it Digital Concentration Camp. Then after the name of the operation that the FBI conducted called Arctic Freeze, or We Are All Under Surveillance. So I decided on what you saw in the title. We say Digital Concentration Camp, but not everyone understands what that means. Let me try to explain. For example, your house is covered with surveillance cameras. If you turn off even one of them, a police van immediately arrives and takes you to jail. Your phone, television, and even your iron are being monitored. No matter what you say, what you do, or how you try to encrypt your messages, artificial intelligence detects all kinds of trigger words and concepts, collects them, and informs the necessary authorities. Well, you remember who those necessary authorities are, right? Also, the machine can't go farther than, let's say, 50 kilometers or 50 miles or maybe 72 miles from your home. To go farther, you need to get a special permit so that you're allowed to visit your mom. To do anything more, you have to be on good terms with the authorities. They check, and what grades do you have there? So you get points for your behavior and statements. When you have a negative score, let's say, then you can't buy food, you can't buy gas. Nothing at all until you satisfy the computer with something that the authorities perceive as repentance. For example, you report on your neighbor, write a denunciation, speak up. It doesn't matter. There's no need to write, send, or stamp it. But digital concentration camps don't just suddenly start or get created out of nowhere. They don't appear from nothing. This is only our world. By Ukraine's God's will, boom, and it began. But everything else needs some development. Usually this slow transformation starts with the first timid attempts, steps, and universal surveillance, which they explain to us is absolutely necessary. We need protection from terrible enemies, and the worst are often your own government. The service that arrived, I can prove it. By the way, I just realized that people don't understand how many of your relatives were killed by enemies, and how many were killed by your own government, and so on. How many people are sitting in prison? Let's say not in America yet. We'll discuss America soon, since things have started here too, though it seems we've slowed them down a bit. It started with the so-called uprising of pro-Trump forces against, so to speak, the legitimate elections. Okay, that's not what we're talking about right now. So, under Bush Jr., the agencies got the right to wiretap all of us, and the right to store that information. They did tell us, though, that this information just shows how many calls there are in total. That's complete and utter nonsense. Then it became possible to present this very information to citizens who, let's say, were political competitors or dissenters. And let's say you present incriminating information, actions, or words to political opponents, yes, and then you pressure them in the direction you want. That's it. And today, even if you turn off your smartphone, it still records everything you say next to it. Our laws say that you can't be eavesdropped on unless the guys and ladies in black sign off on it. That's permission? Then it's allowed. So it's not allowed, but it is. But you need permission from the guy. The guy in black will sign off, no problem. We already know how many times they've signed off to spy on Trump's people. According to United States law, no one can take away your property. That's right, Well, no one can. That's the truth. Let's say your house, Unless an aunt from the local education committee or an uncle from the city planning committee signs a paper saying they want something on the spot where your house is. The aunt and uncle want to build a public garage or a supermarket or a road or a school. There, your property is sacred, but 5 uncles and aunts can decide to raise taxes for roads, property, gasoline, prison maintenance, to help the starving in Mozambique, to Poland, to send it for something. and then they will take as much from you as they want. But if a lone thief steals from you and not the thief in power, then he can be caught, right? According to statistics, about 5% are caught. And since half of the thefts aren't even reported, according to this unofficial statistic, only 2 to 5% of those thieves and those thefts that actually happen are caught. But if he, God forbid, gets caught, God forbid, I'm not joking, then it will be even worse for you because you won't get your property back. In 99% of cases, it's gone. Yes, but for his trial, for his arrest, for his prison for him. Well, there's television, a gym, and some kind of vocational training like, say, librarian, which he'll never use and you'll have to pay for it. So praying for him to be caught, please don't do that. Pray that he doesn't get caught. And the idea that because thieves are put in jail, theft will stop, to be continued. Well, let's take a look. Is this really something they've been doing for 5,000 or 6,000 years? There, they cut off hands, smash heads, quarter people, put them in prisons, throw them into debtors' pits, anywhere you can imagine. It doesn't stop, so it's pretty clear that it doesn't really work properly. They're actually cornering us when they suggest that we shouldn't own any property at all. After all, that's the next proposal they want to make to us. Why do you need a house or a car? Just rent, just use them. There will be plenty of cars, airplanes, quadcopters, and passenger drones built. Take it, leave it anywhere, and it returns on its own. So convenient and almost free. Live your life. Subtitles, don't blow it. It ran down the mustache but didn't get into the mouth. That's from a different story, right? That's it. You won't be able to go more than 50 kilometers away from home. And when you speak inappropriately about the authorities, your cards, well, you won't have any money, of course, and they'll stop working. Subtitles, why subtitles? And why do I say that we were standing on the threshold of a digital concentration camp? Well, listen to this.
Ladies and gentlemen, just now FBI Director Kash Patel spoke before Congress. And I'm not joking when I say this, but we just received information that absolutely changes everything. Friends, we just received confirmation that the FBI, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, when it was under the control of the Democrats, systematically targeted and surveilled almost every right-wing political organization in the country.
Hundreds of FBI agents we paid were doing the same things as the State Security Committee did under Andropov, Brezhnev, and Gorbachev. What's there to hide? And what it's doing now under a different name, meaning the Federal Security Service in Russia, in Ukraine under its own name, in Belarus, and in other countries like Tajikistan, Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, and so on.
During a conversation with FBI Director Kash Patel, the chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee, Republican Senator Chuck Grassley, reported that the FBI, controlled by the Democrats, had a list of 92 different right-wing political organizations, all of which were under complete and total surveillance.
What is complete and total surveillance? I want to make you happy. This includes phones, surveillance, recording conversations in offices and restaurants you go to, and even at home, in your bedroom. Complete absolute so that not a word, not a letter is lost.
Now, as some of you may know, in 2022, Joe Biden's FBI launched the so-called Operation Arctic Freeze, in which they aimed to go after Trump and all his political allies. However, as it turned out, this operation became something more than just a typical anti-Trump initiative. On the contrary, Operation Arctic Freeze was actually much more sinister. Take a look.
These new records show that Arctic Freeze was much broader than just an election case. The case was expanded to include Republican organizations. Some examples of groups that Ray and the FBI sought to subject to political investigation included the National Committee of the Republican Party. Time.
Allies, waiting for the final republic, do not disappoint history but only record it. He loses them. Graded. The fifth is connected. Special unknown's memory. But here it was done by order from the White House and without any punishment. The people responsible probably got bonuses.
The Association of Republican Attorneys General and various political groups of Trump. A total of 92 Republican targets, including Republican groups and individuals associated with Republicans, were included in the scope of the investigation. Arctic Frost.
Individuals were put under surveillance without any legal reason. And if we want to fight this, if we want to stop it, we have to do everything by the letter of the law. Our country must do everything by the letter of the law. Otherwise, it's just swapping one bad thing for another, not freeing the country from dictatorship.
Listen, guys, the Democrats used the FBI as a weapon to target 92 different Republican organizations and individuals. So I already know what you're thinking. What about Charlie Kirk and his organization Turning Point United States of America? Well, take a look at this.
One of the groups on this political list was Charlie Kirk's Turning Point United States of America. In other words, Arctic Frost wasn't just a case for Trump's political investigation. It was a mechanism through which partisan FBI agents and Justice Department prosecutors could achieve their party goals and improperly investigate the entire Republican political structure.
That's exactly how bugs were planted not only in the Democratic Party headquarters, but also in 92 leading Republican organizations, including, did you guess, Turning Point United States of America, meaning Charlie Kirk? Don't you get the feeling that there's some kind of connection between this operation, which they called Arctic Freeze? I don't know why, and the radicalization of the killer Charlie. That would explain a lot.
That's for sure. That's exactly what they did. For many years, the Democrats have used our own Federal Bureau of Investigation to systematically persecute, track, and intimidate conservatives across the country in an attempt to maintain their grip on power. But now, friends, it's here. Today's video is getting absolutely crazy because here we're connecting all this information to the ongoing investigation into the murder of Charlie Kirk. Trust me, it's all connected. Reports say the FBI is investigating a larger network of groups that may have known about the shooter's plans. Can you share more details beyond what you've already said publicly? How? Is the FBI looking for other possible accomplices or people who knew about or encouraged the shooter's plans?
Are there any updates on this matter? So, in terms of what we're doing for questioning, we immediately reach out to the family and the community. We have conducted these investigations and interrogations with local law enforcement and continue doing so because those who are closest to the suspect, we hope, know the most about the suspect, his beliefs, and his conversations. Moreover, unfortunately, there was a leak of information that there was a chat on Discord. And for those who are not familiar with it, it's an online gaming chat room that the suspect participated in. So what do? We've already conducted a sort of legal process, not just on Discord, so that the information we've collected is preserved and maintained in an evidentiary form that we could use in prosecution. If a decision is made, we'll also investigate everyone who joined this Discord chat. All right, very good.
I see public reports that there were up to 20 additional users in the Discord thread. It looks like you're trying to figure all this out to understand how accurate it is, who else might have been in that thread, what they might have known. That's fair to say.
It's more than that, and we're checking them all.
This is much more than 20.
Yes, sir. We were told earlier that they found 20 people who knew and maybe helped or pushed Taylor Robinson to commit the murder. They knew for sure. They knew for sure. Right now, we don't know if they pushed him or not. And now the FBI director says there are significantly more of them, significantly more.
Yes, other groups are involved as well. Yes, it's much more than 20 people, and each of them is getting worn out. But here's an interesting question. Who exactly is funding all these ultra-left terrorist groups? Are you investigating any domestic cells that incite, encourage, fund, or in any way support attacks on churches or other places of worship?
Senator, you're raising an incredibly important question that most people don't pay attention to. I've always said that we follow the money, and whether it's terrorism or ideologically motivated attacks or attacks on institutions of faith or people of faith, someone is paying for it. We trace these steps back, not stopping at the perpetrators. We use reverse engineering to hold accountable those who knowingly finance them, and we will take appropriate action against them together with our partners at the Department of Justice. All right, guys. Glad to hear it. We look forward to updates.
It's the same, Vit, what J.D. Vance and Trump both said. We'll follow the money trail, we'll uncover it with evidence. Gentlemen, we all kind of know, but we'll dig up everything that happened. And they won't get away. That's what Vance promised us. That's what Trump promised. And now that's what the FBI director promised.
So, ladies and gentlemen, this is really huge. Almost every time, these far-left terrorist groups are funded and supported by subversive foreign anti-American organizations that are obsessed with creating chaos in our country. In fact, given the circumstances, you can't help but remember the warning that our great American ancestors gave us many generations ago.
Americans, beware of foreign influence.
For decades, anti-American foreign organizations have been pouring money into our country with the sole and exclusive purpose of causing chaos and division within America. And now, it seems, they may also be organizing political assassinations. And as we now know, all the radical far-left progressive Democrats were more than happy to accept all that anti-American foreign money to betray the freedom of their own nation and use our federal government and the FBI to try to suppress all their conservative opposition. The sad reality is that, knowingly or unknowingly, the Democrats are taking orders from various organizations that are clearly obsessed with the goal of destroying our
Republic. Is anything changing now? After all, the security forces have everything, all the tools, and they have more and more of them every day to keep an eye on us. What should we do to prevent this from happening? After all, absolutely everyone at the top of the political Olympus doesn't want to lose power, and spying on us is a way for them to stay on top.
So, the right wing, some of its activist part, is now embracing cancel culture. And that's a bit concerning. Now, a number of people have been fired from their jobs. We talked about this yesterday, and that list is growing. Tomorrow we'll have an update. The state of Texas is leading here. And they acted inappropriately after the murder of Mr. Kirk. So they lost their jobs, lost their livelihoods. And a number of conservatives are celebrating this, but not me. I think it's absolutely terrible when someone celebrates the death of Charlie Kirk or any other person, unless that person is Hitler or Stalin, or someone whose crimes involve killing. If Putin is killed tomorrow, I won't be sad, okay? But there's a degree. So Vice President Vance got involved in all this. Play the recording.
So when you see someone celebrating Charlie's murder, condemn them. Report them to their employer. We don't believe in political violence, but we do believe in civility. And there's no civility in celebrating a political assassination. Get involved, get involved, get involved. That's the best way to honor Charlie's legacy.
But be careful, because dishonest people can use this cancel culture for revenge to deny due process.
That is what happened in the Stalinist Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. Report that your neighbor is promoting capitalism and get his room. Report that your boss told political jokes, the one who refused to promote you. Your pain will go away when you see them come, arrest him, and take him away for life.
Is it worth harming this person's life? Does this person bring negativity into your life, into your children's lives? Teachers are the most important thing, by the way. So if it's a teacher spreading far-left propaganda who jumps for joy that Charlie Kirk is dead, I would report that person immediately. Doctor, someone in a position of power. Boom. But I have to see it. I can't just hear about it. Because there are people who use such an unstable situation to get revenge on someone they don't like. All right, so there was a website called the Charlie Kirk Data Fund. It was taken down, but he tried to collect information without verifying it because it was impossible to verify. The accusation was that people were celebrating the murder of Mr. Kirk. I'm glad he was taken down. But before he was shut down, he collected a lot of money. It could have been a scam. All right, and that was the worst. That was the worst. Now, please provide us on the website with the name and address of those people whom you believe are behaving inappropriately. Dangerous, 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 dangerous. All right? See you again until we meet again until.
You know, it makes me happy that the right wing, well, those who are called conservatives, they say things that the left never say. The right wing discourages snitching. The right wing are horrified by a website with names and addresses because those names and addresses haven't been verified by them. Just yesterday, I didn't know this. I thought they were publishing videos of those who were celebrating. Once Golda Meir said, well, according to rumors, I haven't checked myself. Peace in the Middle East will come when the Arabs love their children more than they hate us. I've heard one or two other interpretations of this, but that's the one that stuck with me the most. Here, applying this to our situation in the United States, a life without violence will come when both sides love freedom of speech more than their own beliefs. But unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, I only see this on one side, and of course, not from everyone, but from the wisest and most insightful.
Now the far left knows they have a problem. There's no doubt about it. And we'll have an interview with Tim Graham, who monitors the media, and we'll talk about it. But now they have to be very careful because Matthew Dowd was fired at Microsoft and the National Broadcasting Corporation or somewhere like that. All right? And the Washington Post, and I'll tell you about it in a minute, was fired. They're really on the defensive. They don't like it. Here's the leftist Brian Stelter on Cable News Network. Go ahead.
Now there's a coordinated conservative effort to get people fired for various opinions. And look, this is a new form of cancel culture. You know, the thing the right used to complain about when, well, they said the left was targeting people, that was 4, 5, 6 years ago. Cancel culture never disappears. It just takes new forms.
But we haven't heard much objection to cancel culture from Cable News Network, have we? And how do I know that? Because I was at Stargate. They tried to take me out, but they failed, and now I'm more influential than ever. But they took out a lot of other people. The left took them out, and they excluded people. They gave them an excuse. All the networks, all three excluded traditional conservative voices. For the past, 10 years since Trump came into the picture, couldn't get in there. Yesterday, I interviewed with Midzer Garrett, a former Fox News colleague, now at Columbia Broadcasting System for the first time in 10 years. And the only reason this interview happened, and Garrett is a good guy, that's what they sold, that's Columbia Broadcasting System was sold to Skydance, which apparently isn't going to put up with this cancel culture. All right, now I need to get this interview with Garrett to post it on the website. It was a good interview for the first time in 10 years. That's good because they didn't want all three networks. Guilty, guilty, guilty. All right, we won't. No, only progressive viewpoints are allowed.
On the radio, on television, on social media, Damascus, who broke through their defenses by buying Twitter, that's how the collapse of their house of cards began. Thank you, Ellen, you really, really helped us. They were building a concentration camp. Thank you, Ellen. like in China, or they even wanted to build it better than the Chinese. They were squeezing us from all sides. They were radicalizing our children. They were destroying families. They were watching our every move. Personally, I was deleted from YouTube and Facebook 8 times. That was in 1 year, in 2023, yes. For 14 months, people weren't allowed to subscribe to me. Strange. And after Musk, after he broke through all of that, and with the arrival of Trump, by the way, yes, somewhere around October, in November of last year, they opened it up, and my subscribers went from 109,000 to 280,000. Thank you to Musk and Trump, and thank you, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. By the way, since we're already talking about it, if you have the opportunity, become a sponsor of the channel. It costs from $3 a month if you subscribe for a year, but if you don't subscribe for a year, it's $4, or you can pay more. You can set any amount, even $344,221.17 per month if you want. 100% of this money goes to the technical needs of the channel, and believe me, it's not enough. But I'm willing to contribute my own money because I believe that what I'm doing is necessary. There's a link to sponsorship in the description below. By the way, there's a link to my book which has been translated into Russian. Originally it was in English and then it was translated. It's an author's translation, meaning I translated it myself and then reviewed it afterwards. It's an entertaining political economy, meaning it's quite engaging. It's called Capitalism 101. Well, 101, if anyone knows, is the very first course of something at a university. There's Biology 101, Chemistry 101. Then, I guess, 201 or 102. It depends on how it all works. And it's true, really, it's expensive. My book is $0.00. And for getting this book for free, you get a free subscription to my video project, Roadmap to Freedom, 10 minutes of daily videos. They're funny, amusing, and interesting. Well, you know, like for your morning coffee or for a morning glass of champagne, like, as they say, like those degenerates who drink champagne, something like that. Yeah, from the Diamond Arm, I think, if I'm not mistaken. What else I want to say in conclusion is that I get a lot of pleasure from searching, finding things, comparing, analyzing, and then telling you about it. So, thank you very much for writing because it gives me the feeling that I'm not just doing this for nothing, but that someone actually needs it. Goodbye.